And we're live on Book Chat Live.
Nice.
And this week, we have the amazing Colin Yearwood, who is a very avid reader, and you do coaching work as well. Tell the audience what you do.
Well, first of all, Tim, thanks to you for having me on the show. I
Yeah.
remember we met a couple of years ago, or maybe several times
Yeah.
at events a couple of years ago. So that's how we got connected, but also the power of relationships. How I've been showing up for the last few years is as a coach, especially around helping people with sales and confidence and belief.
Yeah.
And I also do consulting around helping my clients sell high ticket coaching programs and packages and things to that effect. So that's how I mainly show up professionally.
Yeah. So you picked out 12 books today, and they're mostly business related, which is good because we've got quite a lot of good business related books on this show. And last week we had purely fiction, so this week we've got purely business books. So shall we start with the first book then?
Yeah, we should definitely start. I want to mention, they all are business books, but I found many of them have had a
Yeah.
personal, had a lot, equally as much as business than personal impact in my life
Yeah.
when it comes to this list.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I say business. I mean, that is a little bit unfair. It's kind of a lot of them are lifestyle and coaching as well. So
Yeah.
let's get started. The best year ever. A 5-step plan for achieving your most important goals by Michael Hyatt. So why this book?
It works, man. The book
Yeah.
works wonders. It's one of the first goal setting books that I actually used, and I've used it for several years to help me plan my year, and not only planning, but also help me set up a process to um, achieve those goals. And because of this book, I started using it back in 2018. Um, from 2018 to 2022, I used it. And
Yeah.
because of this book, I was able to accomplish not because of the book, I did the work, but because of the framework that I shared in the book, I was able to accomplish a lot of my goals during those years. And some of them were goals that were really outside of my thinking that was possible. And the reason for that is just how the book is structured, right? It really helps you unpack what it takes mentally to achieve goals, and help you create a supportive environment within and around yourself to make that possible.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I'm sure you've read a lot of books about goal setting and goals.
Mhm.
Why did you pick this book? What specifically was it about this book that really resonated and made you actually do the work? Because there's a lot of books about goal setting and goals out there.
Yeah. So a lot of books about goal setting usually focus on one area of your life or that big goal that you have. What I appreciate about the best year ever is that it forced you to, let you realize that you're a whole person and how all your goals in different aspects of your
Yeah.
life, right? As a parent, in business, in your profession, your hobbies, your relationships, your health and fitness, how all of those goals actually relate to each other. And that was new for me because many times we feel we have to achieve in one area and not in
Yeah.
the other, and then when you're doing it you're somewhat out of balance and feeling guilt, and so it's don't really, it's not a lot of joy as you're going through that process. So this book focus on, okay, let's provide a holistic solution. Let's find 2 to 4 goals for each quarter that you're going to focus on in different aspects in different areas of your life. They call it different domains of your life, and it set up processes there where you can not only track but stay on track, but process where you can track your progress and stay on track, but also markers like points where you can check in and reward yourself as you go, as you move forward. It also talked a lot about the lead goals and lag goals, right? A lot of times we focus on the end result, the lag goal, but we're not focusing on the small things we can do in the intern that will help us get to that big goal. So it had a nice balance of very practical steps, but also ways that you can really acknowledge yourself, reward yourself, and some strategies for correcting when you do fall off.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a book that I've heard of, but I've never actually read. So maybe I'll go back because I think it was released like quite a while ago, wasn't it? Was it like 2018 or something like
2018, 2017, I think it was released. I used to listen to Michael Hyatt's podcast, so
that? Yeah.
that's how I became familiar with it. I'll tell you a quick story about this book. I listened to it for a couple of years. Every year, actually, I even did a challenge.
Oh,
I have a Facebook group. Haven't been active in that group, but back then I was more active in the group. So I actually led a challenge in the month of December. I think it was December 2019 or 2018. We're a group of people. I led them through the book
yeah.
on a 5-day challenge to go through the book. But what I thought was interesting with the book, I met my wife in 2021,
Oh, okay.
and how the book was impactful to me is as we were talking one day, that's within the first 6 weeks of me knowing her. I by the way, I knew I was going to marry her.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about how people don't set somehow goal setting came up, and I talked about how people don't set goals for like their personal lives, like going dating and their marriage and things that affect. And at about 2 o'clock in the morning, we just start brainstorming ideas. And I start sharing with her, here's a concept from this book. How could
Yeah.
we brainstorm those ideas around us creating goals for our relationship? I was excited about it because I like books, I like processes, I like
Yeah.
taking notes. And I wrote an entire sheet of this, and we ended up calling it our manifesto. I was a little concerned when I got off the phone because I'm like, wow, you just met this young lady. The exercise you're going to take her through on a late night call, but it worked out.
Yeah. It's not what most people do on a late night call, I have to say.
That's what most people do on a late night call. I'm like, okay, you confirm that you're a nerd, and if she picked up the phone in the morning, you should marry her, and she did.
Yeah. Okay. Well, on that note, I think we'll move on to the next book, which is The Miracle Morning by Elrod. So I have actually read this book, and I did try and do it for a while, and it was quite successful, and then I fell off the wagon. But why did you pick this book?
It sounds familiar. Let me stop piggybacking on what you said. It sounds familiar, right? I've done it in different seasons of my life, like religiously. But what I found about this book, some of those savors and some of those practices have stuck with me. Even if I'm not doing them religiously, they've stuck with me. Like I may not do all 6 of them, but they've stuck me through the year. Why I picked the book, actually, I got a chance to hear him keynote at an event in 2016 or 2017, and he had a very inspirational story. And my commitment that year was I'm going to read every book from all the speakers. And that's how I started going through the book. But then it made sense to me to be a little bit more strategic about how I start my day off. It was at that point, I was just full-time self-employed. So from the minute I opened my eye, my train of thought is, how do I make money today?
Yeah.
Right. And I was just from a sleeping state into a working state immediately. There was nothing in between. And yeah, it was hectic and stressful and overwhelming at times, and just so consuming. Like my whole life was consumed with building this business and making money. And this book really gave me that space to like slow down. And the interesting thing I thought was interesting about the book, he goes through the 6 savers, silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and writing. And he shared the strategy. Hey, you can do this in 6 minutes. You can either do it you can do it in 30 minutes, you can do it in an hour, but you could do it in 6 minutes too. And that's actually where I got started. I'm like, okay, I can do this for 6 minutes. When I woke up, and I was literally setting 1 minute, on my phone. And it really helped me settle myself, set myself up for success, especially with the affirmations and the visualization, because even now, I think at any stage of your life where you are, you still need to reaffirm what's true about you, right? And take some time to really visualize what you want to create. And I'm a big believer we create our situations. We are able to create how our day goes. And those are like 2 of the main things that have stuck with me. Visualization, that's silence, and affirmations. The exercise, I walk casually. I've gotten back into reading more on a daily basis. And I write every day, but not early in the morning. But these are practices that stayed within me. But also, the other thing about that is like the daily commitment, creating a nice win at the beginning of the day. Hey, I can follow through and do 6 easy things. So there's a couple.
I mean, I probably preempted you there because I know what the book's about, and clearly you know what the book's about. But what I like, my memory of the book, and I haven't read it for a couple of years, but it is literally he has these set behaviors to do every single morning, and he typically kind of says like get up at 5 a.m, though he backtracks later on in the book about this idea. But yeah, for me, when I was doing it, it was at least doing something regimented in the morning gets you, because otherwise it's very easy to just end up drifting, getting up and then like, oh, what am I going to do today? So that's kind of the broad basis of the book. Was there anything you got out of the book that was different to that? Was it like
for me, it was the importance of being intentional about how you start off your day, right? Like even now my family, my kids and my wife, they know, don't bother me for the first hour because I have a morning routine I want to do, right? But I think it's so common that we just get up and just go right into life without taking any time to center ourselves and be intentional about how we want to go about. So that was the biggest thing that for me came out of the book. The second thing I mentioned is something that I haven't read this book in about 6 years, but this week I've done some of these practices. It's just something that has stuck with me, and I think somewhere in the books you mentioned about it being a lifelong habit. It has, I've installed that habit in myself when it comes to that morning miracle routine. And I don't wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
No, I think that's the thing that puts a lot of people off here. And I've seen a thing in the later book. He's like, well, it's not really the getting up early, doing the various meditation, reading. I think it's walking. There's another
exercising. It's silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribing, writing. If I hit all 6 in one day, I'm having a great day. But now I do at least 3 of the 6 consistently.
Okay, well, that's good.
Many times 4.
So okay, let's go on to the next book. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
This is an interesting book. To me, I think my takeaway is going to be short here because I really don't want to give away too much about the book. But for me, there's 4 key principles that he shares in the book. And there's 4 agreements that we can make with ourselves that I don't want to say forces us, but guides us to show up in a more authentic way. And that's the thing that I take about it. It's absolutely challenging. And I'll share what those 4 things are, but I can give away what it is. But it's absolutely challenging when you think about implementing these 4. It seems simple, but having these 4 agreements with yourself on a daily basis. And that's the thing I like about this book. It's a simple process that leads to a lot of personal self-reflection, that leads to growth. At least in my case, it leads for me to aspire to get to those to live up to those desired agreements.
The funny thing is, at one point, I had to ban somebody from picking this book because it had been picked by 4 people in a row on the show. It hasn't been picked for a while, so it's good to have it back. So if anybody really wants to know a lot more detail about those 4 agreements, other people were less worried about spoiling the book. But I have actually read the book now, and I can see why so many people pick it, because it's short and it's kind of good in the way that it talks about each of those 4 areas that you can work out in your life.
Another thing I like about it is it's a short and punchy book and very practical. I would share I'll share what the agreements are. I think to really get good context into those, like you definitely recommend you read a book. That's why I'm on the show. But well, I know the first one that really stands out is be impeccable with your word.
Yeah.
But it's easy for us to try to be impeccable with our word, speak truth to other people. But what I like about that is the idea of being impeccable with your word when you speak about yourself.
Yeah.
And it brings so much awareness for me. And sometimes I could be my worst critic, and I'd say things to me that I would be very upset if someone else said it to me. So that's one of the things that really stuck out there for me. The other one was don't take things personal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. All right. It's like, is that hard or not hard? Like
Yeah.
we're so easily offended by everything in this, at least I live in the US, and it seems like everyone here is offended by everything.
Yeah.
And we tend to give stuff meaning that don't have any meaning.
Yeah. Well, especially now, one of the bad things about social media is it has encouraged people to learn that if you say offensive things to people, you get more engagement on social media. So people often say offensive things to get like attention. And this is kind of going back. There's a lot better world where people aren't. If you take everything personally, you're just going to end up all of your time reacting to things. And it's like,
to me, it's like it's a little presumptuous to think that everything someone says or do is because of you.
yeah,
Right?
true.
And that's one of the big takeaways for me from this book is like, I don't know what's going on in their life, why they're lashing out.
Yeah.
It's not about, most times it's not about me. Especially if I'm trying to show up, I'm being impeccable with my word and being integrity. The next agreement I that I think piggybacks on don't think things personally is don't make assumptions.
Yeah.
Right. And when I first read this book, I was working with a couple coaching clients, and they were always late for calls.
Yeah.
And I would make so many assumptions about why they're late for the calls and make it about me. They don't respect me and all these things. But then I realized, well, what am I saying about myself, right? What's all these assumptions? And then simple questions led me to realize, okay, they were having challenges with the times that they were choosing. But it definitely changed my energy when I'm conscious of not making assumptions about why other people are doing things or what other people are doing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the trouble. It's like you could assume that person walking slowly in front of you is trying to block you, or it could be that it's the first time they walked out in public because they had a stroke or something 2 years ago, and that's why they're walking slowly. You just don't know. So, but we all make assumptions. But
look, I wish it was easier not to, and I wish I could be on here and say, no, Tim, I never do it anymore. But to me, the awareness about it. I personally feel that one of the things this book has done for me is made me more human.
Yeah.
And made me more empathetic and understanding, because it just slows me down sometimes. Okay, that was wrong. And it's led me to apologize a lot of times too. The last one I'll share is do your best, right? Always do your best.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to aspire to that?
Yeah, that's true.
And some of them, to me, the question I was asked there, is my best based off of what I expect of me, or is my best based off what others expect of me, right? So those are the four agreements, and they've really create a big shift for me in how I try to operate.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to something a bit more businessy. This was not businessy, actually, was it? So, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Mastering the Inner Game of Wealth by Harv Eker, which is quite an interesting name.
Yeah. Very interesting name, very interesting guy, and one of my favorite books, all-time favorite books. For me, it has a lot less to do about the millionaire money thinking, but just how you think. It's a very practical book. It's the audiobook is very long and not chaptered. I am reading again the paper copy, and this is my third time going through it. And one of the things I like about it is the reason why I like the book is very practical steps on helping you stay focused on being the best version of yourself. It doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't have a lot to do with money. It has to. If you're being the best version of yourself, you're showing up in the best version of yourself in every area of your life. And I a lot of time people have monetary goals that they aim for. I think that's what he was aiming at. But also too is just where you go about living. It's about identifying your thought patterns around money and your beliefs around money. That's the first part of the book. He really help you like unpack why you think about money the way you think about money. And through reading this book, I realized there's a couple things. And I'll tell you a quick story about that. Last Thanksgiving, my dad was at my house at Thanksgiving, and we were talking about a flat that he has for rent in his place in New York City. And he's had it for rent for many years. It just got emptied. The person left and he did some work and he wanted to redo it. And the person was paying $700 for maybe a 700 square foot apartment. An amazing apartment, by the way, because all my siblings and myself lived in that apartment at one point in our lives. But my dad said, he thought about how he wants to rent it again, but he's only going to charge $900. I'm like, what? $900? Are you crazy? Why are you going to charge $900? And he said, that's all the money I need.
Yeah.
And this book talk about that language and helps you identify the ceilings that's been put into your thinking, right? Oh, that's all the money I need. Really? Is that all the money you need? That apartment, hands down, is $1,500.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a deal in New York City.
Yeah.
A 1-bedroom with a private entrance, close to two subway stations in an amazing neighborhood. But for my dad, I didn't want to take advantage of people. I don't need to make a lot of money. I just need enough. They'll cover this, and then I'll have a little extra. Right? That's putting a ceiling on the way you think about money, the way you think about creating wealth. Yeah. And I realized that's where I got a lot of my thinking for many years when it came to money. I just wanted to make, for many years, I just wanted just enough, pay my bills, have a vacation, and have fun. But guess what? Am I living up to my true potential?
Yeah. And now you're a billionaire.
Now I'm a billionaire. No, I'm not a billionaire now, but also
it sounds like it certainly made a difference. So what, in your own life, what were some of the limitations you started to move beyond? Was that charging more for your coaching or something?
It's charging. Yeah, that's a great point. It's like charging more for my coaching. It's like seeing myself as worthy of having more than just enough in my bank account, right? Not feeling bad about having savings, not feeling bad about, planning for my future and being able to do things that my friends couldn't do, right? A lot of times I didn't want to outspend my friends, right?
Yeah.
But one of the biggest ways that impact me is in entrepreneurship and being a coach is I didn't want people to think I was greedy. I didn't want people to think it was all about the money. I didn't, was I really valuable enough? My first paid coaching I did was 2013. I'd never forget it. I still have the receipt from PayPal, 2013 in September. I charged $175 for 4 coaching sessions. Yeah. I spent about 20 to 25 hours delivering those 4 coaching sessions. The reason being, the young lady who purchased those sessions, I would drive. She lived about an hour away from me, and she didn't have proper internet access at her house. So I would drive to Panera Bread, which is an hour away from my house, to get close to her house. And then I'll sit there for 2 hours so I can over-deliver.
Yeah.
And then I'll drive back home for another hour, feeling amazing about myself. And then she'll call me during the week, and I answer all these questions, right?
Yeah.
She got way more than $175 in value.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
also that was how much I felt I was worth at the time, because guess what? I didn't want her to think I was just greedy and it was all about the money.
Yeah.
I didn't really see the value that I was bringing to it, bringing to that situation. So it's impacted me several ways there, like, saving and investing money and things to that
Yeah.
effect. It's like, no, I have enough. I don't want to be greedy,
Yeah. And now you're a billionaire.
And now I'm a millionaire.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Let me share a couple of things. In their T. Harv Eker, he shares what he called wealth files.
Yeah.
And it describes a way of thinking that he says that's the way rich people think, and how wealthy people think differently, right? And there's a difference between, he describes in the book, a difference between being rich and being wealthy. But I think to change your situation, you have to change the way you think. You have to change the way you see yourself. And if we want to be, I think a lot of people find, many people at times find honor in being part of the struggling class, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's really hard for us to show up for anyone in our lives if that's how we're showing up. Like when I was having a hard time making money, I was frustrated when I came home, and my poor kids got the brunt of it because I didn't want to talk to anyone. But he shared these things called the 17 wealth files, and they just go over, encourage you to think a different way. And he does a comparison between what rich people believe, what poor people believe, what rich people do, what poor people do. And a couple that are my favorite, and I really have believed this over the last couple of years. I create my life.
Yeah.
Right? He said people who are not, like, people who are poor, people who are challenged right now, a lot of times people feel like life happens to me. I've been there. Why is all this happening to me? Why, not realizing that I could change that situation. So these 17 wealth files are very, to me, powerful reminders on how I can show up in a way not only to impact my life, but also in a way to impact my clients and impact my family. And I see it around my kids, like the way I show up, my kids have a different idea on how to be you said businessy earlier. That's my two daughters. I have a 9-year-old and 11-year-old. They laugh at me and say, "Oh, he's in there doing his businessy talk,"
Yeah.
And one described to her friend one day, "Oh, he just talks to people on the internet and they give him money." Right? But it's a different way of being, a different way of showing up. So that's one of my favorites. I create my life. Another one I like is number 8 in there. He talks about rich people are willing to promote themselves and their services.
Yeah, that's true.
It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of belief. It takes a lot of confidence to believe in what you're doing, your products and your services. And one that I would say that it's been a part of who I am for the last 6, 7, maybe actually I would say 13 years, because I had a huge life transformation when I turned 40. Is the wealth file is number 17, and it says rich people constantly learn and grow. And that's a mission that I've been on intentionally for the last 13 years, or maybe even more than that, not acknowledging. Like I'm constantly looking to learn and grow and consume new information that allows me to show up differently in my life and in the life of the people that I hang around.
Okay. Well, I think we will need to do the wealthy habit of moving a bit quicker on to the next book now. Oh, so we've been talking too much about that book.
Okay, let's move on quickly. So
right, what is the next one? The next one is The Prosperous Coach. Increase impact, income and impact for you and your clients by Steve Chandler and Rich Litvin. So why did you pick this book?
I call it the Coaching Bible. It's an amazing book on how to show up and serve people powerfully as a coach. It's not about marketing and not about fancy funnels. It's not about manipulating people into doing anything they don't want to do. It's a book about using coaching as a tool to serve powerfully and be compensated for it at a level that you are able to charge. Right? It's not telling everyone that the industry. At least all my Facebook ads talk about being a high ticket coach, which to me is nonsense. Right? But this book really talks about creating personal transformation in your life and doing the same for clients. Doing coaching based off of, or doing sales based off of invitation and permission, and going out of your way to serve people in a powerful way and making their results the priority and not what you want out of the relationship.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I love that book. I've read it multiple times. One thing I love about that, it's very short chapters.
Yeah.
To the point, very punchy.
So it actually tells you what to do. Because there's a lot of non-fiction books that I've read, and this is one of my bugbears, is where it's one chapter of stuff and they just prop it off the whole book. So it sounds like this is just refined chapter.
Every chapter actually has its own action steps.
Yeah.
And even now I go back to it, like I want an idea, or I think it's something I can go and check the index, go to that part, chapters of 2-3 pages of very actionable strategies that you can help and serve people. When we first started coaching, one of the things I did there, I leaned on that book a lot to stay congruent to how I wanted to show up. I just didn't want coaching to be about marketing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll probably not done that book as much justice as time-wise, but it sounds like we should take its note and move on to the next book.
There you go.
And it's The Coaching Habit by Michael Bungay Stanier.
Bungay Stanier. Isn't that a great name? Bungay Stanier.
Yes. Even though I probably mispronounced it horribly, but it's like, so why did you pick this book?
It has 7 questions in there. I think anyone, if you're a coach or not, you can benefit from using these questions to create a space where you're not only listening, but a space that you're letting people solve their problems and you just aiding them through the process.
Yeah.
If you're in management, I'd recommend you definitely use it as you talk to your employees, your team members. It's just a simple process of slowing down and not doing the talking and giving instructions and giving people the space to process and create their own ideas. And you can just be a tool by doing that. And it's 7 simple questions. I'll let you know. I'll just read questions quickly because I just made a note of them. And this is one I always like to. I actually use a lot of these things with my kids. That's why I practice a lot. Hey, what's on your mind? Like when they're upset, like what's on your mind? That's one of the questions, right? That's how you get the conversation started. Another question is, and what else? Okay, what else? And you just acknowledge it. What else? One of my favorites is, so what's the real challenge? Yeah, what's the real challenge? And so people can like narrow down on what the problem is, so you can figure out. I'm not meant to be sexist, but my daughters come to me every the world is falling apart. And then I ask that question. So what's the real problem? Yeah. And it comes down to one little thing. The other question is, how can I help?
Yeah.
No, actually, the question before that is, what do you want? What do you want? And then followed by, how can I help? So when you narrow it down, hey, what's the real problem? What do you want? How can I help? Is acknowledging the other question is if you're saying yes, what else you're saying no to. We've heard that a lot. And that's like, especially in working environments, a lot of people taking on a lot and not really acknowledging or slowing down to realize, okay, what's going to be slowed up here? And the last question 7, they call it the learning question. And what do you find most useful about this conversation? Right? And by now, my kids are on to me. Before I can get to that question, they're like, yeah.
Especially you've got this little book next to you.
I got a little book in my hand all the time. I practice all my sales strategies and all my coaching strategies on my kids. So they're well versed. Okay, I get it. This is what I'm going to do. But I think it's a very powerful book that allow you to, as I said, help people solve their own problems, and you just be the aid. And for me, that's the most rewarding thing. Like if you can help someone figure it out themselves versus me telling them, here's the answer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go on to the next. We've given that the right amount of time, I think, that book. So let's go on to The Go-Giver by Bob Burg. So why this book?
He has some core principles in this book, man. He calls it some core laws. And it's one of those books you can, it's a choice you make and how you want to show up in the world, how you want to show up to people. And I think many people, we are focused so much on I don't say many people. At times, I could be focused so much on myself and
Yeah.
what is it I want from relationships, what is it I want from situations. But when I first read The Go Giver, by the way, it's a very short read, and it
Yeah.
packs a punch. It's very deceiving when you look at the size of the book and you realize, wow, this is powerful. A couple of things he talks about in the book that I like: the law of value.
Yeah.
Your true worth is determined in how much you give in value for rather than the payment you take in. This is something I talk a lot about with my coaching clients. Is everyone wants to sell and charge $1,000 for coaching, but it's just about the money. The true value is what you deliver to people.
Yeah.
So that's one I really one of the laws that really I try to live by, is always over deliver, and not
Yeah.
only in business but also in my friendships and my relationships and how I network and connect with people. And I'll share with you one thing. I know you met at an event, but we didn't connect for a long time.
Yeah.
I will be honest with you right now. I wanted to reach out because you were my spreadsheet to reach out to. So that's how I reached back out to you. And it took a couple of years for me to reach out to you, but it's just showing up. It's just showing up, right? It's like, one thing that I know and I believe is like, I know one of the laws is law of compensation. He talks about your income is determined by, how many people you're able to serve and how well you want to serve them, right?
Yeah.
So in order to serve people, in my opinion, you have to have more conversation, build more relationships, and look for ways that you can connect on a deeper level. If you're building a relationship-based business, or if you just want to go deeper in friendships and relationships, or even your career, I would put this next to the book, How to Win Friends and
Influence people.
Influence People. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I mean, this book's been recommended before.
Yeah.
It's he seems to be a popular guy, Bob Burg. That's the thing. Everybody's like, oh, Bob Burg's a nice guy. So
the way he tells the story in the book too, the book is based off of a story he shares, and we have all these principles. Well, I'll share one last one that always sticks with me, and it can be challenging at times. Is the law of authenticity.
Yeah.
It's just being cool with being yourself, because that's where you're most valuable, right? That's how you show up as the most valuable, in the most valuable state for other people, is if you can actually honestly be yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. The Greatest Salesman in the World by Mandino. So getting into sales now.
You see the path, right? There's so many story. How this book is designed is based off of a story that the author is telling at different stages of his life.
Yeah.
And it has in there, they have 10 scrolls in the book. And the recommendation for the book is, after reading it the first time, is go back and read each of the scrolls, one for 30 days.
Oh, okay.
One scroll for 30 days. And it opens you up to a different way of looking at selling, and a different way of looking at serving people. A lot of times selling, it seems to be, people have a negative view of people who say, I'm a salesperson, because they think you're going to sell them something that they don't need and they don't want, and you're going to trick them, right? But I think when you do sales the right way, and the way this book teaches it, is focus on loving other people, focus on serving in a powerful way. Quality is where the value is, helping people save time, helping people improve on how they see themselves. I think it changed the whole view of what selling is about. One of my favorite scrolls in the book is the second scroll: approach others with love.
Yeah.
And through this book and through some sales coaching I've done, one of my mentors, he always said, I find something to love about everybody that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to speak to on the next call. And he said, actually, I genuinely sit there and think, well, what can I love about this person? And it just changes how you show up on that call. You can't try to love someone at the same time try to give them a deal that's not good for them. But this book gives you a core principle, and it's based back in ancient times. It seems to be biblical, right outside of biblical times, on how to show up. And it's basically a story of a mentor and a mentee.
Yeah. It's well, I'm going to tell the live stream has ended itself, but we at least got a deal. We'll carry on because we can still record it, so it will go up onto YouTube. So I'll cut this section out. Yeah, it's like I've always found that the best salesmen are people who you don't notice they're selling. Like the more you notice somebody's selling, the worse salesman they are, and it's the same with marketing. I've had, like, I'm sure you've encountered it in your coaching that people are like, oh, like really clumsy sales effort to you. Like, do you want to buy this tricycle or something? And you're like, well, I have no interest in tricycles. As opposed to somebody who can sell you a multi-$1,000 thing, and you just feel like it's a natural progression because it's just such good salesmen. So
yeah. And you're right. It's the best thing about like selling is like it doesn't, when you sell the right way, is not a secret. You know, you're looking to create a situation that's a win-win-win, a win for you, a win for the product, a win for the client. You know, a lot of people have the belief that salespeople are out just for themselves, and in some cases,
some they are, but
some of them are, and you guess what? You're not going to see them in, you know, their life is not going to be as cool as they think it is. Well, I'll share one thing about that. I actually do sales. I do sell for a couple of my clients, and they sell higher ticket items. But one of my clients made it clear to me when I joined him. He said, "Hey, you making one sale for $25,000 is not going to change my life.
Yeah,
but you making someone feel inferior or not worthy, that could change my life because they're going to tell so many more people, right?" And that's the way we look at it. It's not about the money, but how you treat people. And there's just some timeless wisdom in this book about showing up consistently and serving with love.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the next one. The Pocket Guide to High Ticket Selling by Dan Henry. So, why this book?
This is sales. This is a sales book. Yeah. It walks you through a sales process. It gives you practical strategies on how to run a sales call, right? Here's the good news about this. You can use this for good, or you can use it for manipulation or evil.
Yeah.
It's up to the person who is consuming this information and using it. And what Dan has done in the book, he's really walked you through the way the book is done, is written, is like he is actually speaking to a potential client. Yeah. And in the core of the book, in the 12 steps, you can listen to the 12 steps in about 40 minutes, and I've listened to those 12 steps over and over. But he walks you through every stage of the call, and the process that he lays out is more about that person getting clarity and understanding what is it I really want to accomplish, why am I getting there, and then you giving them an invitation to the solution. It's not like, okay, great, let me just tell you, hey, do you want to hear what we do?
Yeah.
Well, how I do it, right? And it's just a process of selling from a place of not being needy, but also a place of serving, and helping people make a decision that's right for them. You know, it emphasizes a lot of psychology and how psychology expands how the psychological aspects of sales, right? And how you can use that in a way to help people make a decision. But as with anything, the wrong person using this information, they can easily manipulate.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. But
so, like, it says high ticket selling. Like, so is that a specific thing for higher value item? Like, I presume that's what high ticket means. It's like high value item, or would you say it's true for every? Like, even if you're selling a $2.99 widget or something like that.
Yeah. So I actually tell all my clients, like, a lot of people want to do sales and have it automated and have it all sexy. And I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to see anyone. I just want to see money coming in.
Yeah.
I tell all my clients, if you're starting out and you're selling something for $250, get in a conversation with people. Number one, you'll understand, can I actually really help this person with this? And then number two, you'll understand, all right, is it really worth $200 or is it worth more? or 250. High value, high ticket in the context that Dan shared is anything above $3,000 to $5,000. The industry in the online business, online coaching space, some gurus say if you're selling anything above $2,000, you should get on a call and have that conversation. And it tends to be true because you can, when you're doing sales the right way and using a process that serves people, you can easily convert at 15 to 30%, right? If you're not even good at selling, you can sell 1 out of 10. Versus if you're doing it from a sales letter, you may convert 2 or 3%. And if you're doing it from email, you may convert at 1 or 2%. So having conversations with people, I think, help them better understand how you can serve, and it helps you better understand how to articulate the value of what is it you're selling.
Yeah, well, I think like too many people try and set up an email list and then they send out a generic email and like 1% of the people buy, and they're like, oh, that's not what I expected. So yeah, I think you're damn right about that. So, anyway.
To mention one thing to that point, you say, I have an email list that maybe or average between 30 and 50% open rate.
Yeah.
And very few of them buy when I send them a link to sign up.
Okay.
Right? But more of them buy when I send them an invitation. Hey, reply if you want to get on a call, or reply if you have any questions, and then we get in a conversation. Way more sales and we're higher value sales than I would ever send on a link in the email.
Yeah, and also as you said, you could probably find out lots of reasons why they weren't buying from the link in the email when you're having the call.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. Taking Flight. Master the disc styles to transform your career and your relationships and your life, by Merrick, Rosenberg and Daniel Silvert. So DISC is some sort of personality profile thing, isn't it?
Yeah, DISC is a personality profile framework. And the letters DISC then for dominance, influence, steady, and conscientious.
Yeah. Sure, they can read the book and find it out.
You can find it out, but it really tells you, it gives you a good, it's a snapshot of how people show up in different situations. The thing about a book Taking Flight is they take that book and created a story using birds in the Amazon jungle. And the eagle is dominant. The parrot is the I, who is full of influence. The dove is the S, who is supportive and steady. And the owl is conscientious and studious. And it walks you through a very engaging story using these words to really talk about how people show up in different situations and how you can identify their DISC profile so you can better communicate with them in an effective way, right? It's like meeting people where they are. And I think, sometimes you may have a hard driving boss and they're D and they're dominant. All they want is the results. But because you're not aware of that, you come up with a lot of, like the book, the 4 Agreements talk about, you start making a lot of assumptions about them. But if you understand, okay, this is how their personality is built. Okay, how can I show up as maybe an I or an S to best support them and not feel offended and be seen and all those things? So I personally think like this having a personality test and knowing how people show up in their natural state helps you better show up for them, and in a way that is in a way that's powerful and impactful. I've come to this profile because of sales. Because when you get in a call, I don't want to, like someone who's I give you the example, like a parrot, and they're interactive and they're fun and they're they don't care about the details of the offer. They just want to know, are we going to have a good time? Versus a C, which is the book is an owl. They want to know the details. They want to know exactly how it works. And then the D, he wants to know how much money I'm going to make with this, right? How fast can I make the money? And then the S, which is the dove in the book, they're talking about, okay, is there support there? Will I be able to, how would this help me help my people? And, so it gives you a better understanding of how to speak with people in a way that serve them powerfully and help them make the best decision for themselves.
Okay, all right. Let's go on to the next book. Heads I win, tails you lose, a financial strategy to reignite the American dream by Patrick H. Donohoe. So it sounds an impressive title.
It's an impressive title, different. So this is a
Yeah.
book that has a different different concept about money that I didn't know. And I'll put my hand up to say I didn't know this in 2019 when I got a chance to meet Patrick, and I got the book for the first time. I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is, but it's just talking about how you could shift your way of thinking about saving, about investing.
Yeah.
And it's looking at like whole life insurance policies as a way to, as a financial instrument, a way to save and a way to invest. It talks a lot about understanding how we spend a lot of we give away a lot of our money in the form of interest that we pay on our debt.
Yeah.
And if you're able better to use certain financial instruments, you can control that outflow of money and actually use it to your benefit. This book definitely changed my outlook on planning for my future. This book definitely changed my outlook on investing. And since I read the book, I actually signed up with Patrick's agency to do what he shares in the book, and I've recommended anyone in my family or friends that would listen, or anyone that would listen, I say, hey, give them a call and listen to it.
Yeah.
One of the things they talk about, I think a lot of people I see talk about now is creating your own banking system. It's an interesting concept that I think it's worth exploring. And it's, as I said, it's a book that definitely shifts my way of thinking about money management and how I can try to set up for when I have millions.
So what do you mean by set up your own banking system then? What's the book mean by that?
So this is the point where I call my friend at Patrick's company and say, hey, talk to this guy because I can't explain it. But what
you say, I have to read the book to find out.
You have to read the book to find out. But what it basically is, right, is with a certain type of insurance policy, a whole life insurance policy, designed the right way. You can't like buy an off the shelf one. You have to have one that's designed for your life, and there's a lot of things going. If you're able to do that right, you can dump a lot of money in there, which is legal according to how the government have the rules written, and then you can borrow that money back to finance things you would normally purchase in the bank. So an example would be, hey, I put $20,000 into my whole life insurance. Again, I'm no expert, but the example would be, I put $20,000 into my whole life insurance that's designed the right way for me. I may be able to get out of it $15,000. I could now take that $15,000, buy a car, and then pay back that $15,000 to my insurance policy versus paying it back to a car dealer. When you pay it back to the insurance policy, your equity grow and you get an interest. You get part of that interest that you pay back.
Yeah.
But creating your own banking system. There's a book actually called Infinite Banking. That's she recommended me that book too. That broke it down for me. It was a different concept for me, and actually I was introduced to this by a mentor, and I should be meeting him this evening. He's in my town. I was about to buy a car, and this is after I actually met Patrick, and he introduced me to Patrick, and I was about to call him and say, hey, I'm looking for a reference because I'm self-employed and I was doing some consulting for his company. This car dealership need a reference to say I actually have income. And he's like, why would you do that? Do me a favor. I'll send you. He's actually going to buy this book, Infinite Banking. Come in. It's under my floor here. But he said, buy this book, read it, and then let me know if you're going to make that decision. And I realized, oh, why would I do that? Let me just do it. So it's a different way of thinking about money management. It may not be for everyone, but also it's a book that has changed my way of thinking. I've introduced it to anyone that would listen to me in my family, and most of them think I'm a hero for recommending it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go to the final book. The Prayer of Jabez, Breaking Through to a Blessed Life by Bruce Wilkinson. So why this book to finish?
Short, powerful book. My wife introduced this book to me when I first met her. And the book is all based off of Chronicles chapter 4, verse 10. And there's a prayer in there Jabez shared. And it's a powerful prayer in the way, the structure of the prayer. And it's a way of like acknowledging that There's a bigger source that's out there that's helping has created us and help guide us, and that's what I believe. I believe that in Jesus Christ, and
Yeah.
it talks about it's just a simple structure of saying a prayer that could really acknowledge Him for who He is, ask for what we want, acknowledge that the danger is, and we have the tendency not to follow His guidance, and for protection. So it's a very powerful book. What Bruce did, what he did in the book is he shared examples of how that prayer has worked for him in his life. How when he prays, "Hey Lord, I expand my territory," he shares some powerful examples of nothing less than miracles happening for him to spread the gospel, to have connections and relationships with people who wasn't possible for him to have. And just walking through a process. So to me, my wife introduced it to me because I shared with her when I first met. I said, "You know what? I still have a hard time praying. I really don't think I pray the right way."
Yeah.
And she said, "Okay, here's a little book that will teach you how to pray the right way. In addition to Psalms 23." But yeah, so that's why I enjoy this book. The thing I enjoyed about it also too, they invite you to be a participant. They invite you to be a creator in your life by actually implementing that prayer in several ways over a 30-day period and look for miracles to happen.
Yeah.
It's happened in my life. And I think it would be a powerful recommendation.
So this is a book for people who are Christian who want to learn how to pray properly. It's like kind of the strap line, as you would say.
That's a strap line. It's for Christians, but I think it's for anyone that's open to exploring. Like, is there something else that, for me, my question always is it all up to me to get everything done?
Yeah.
And I just think it's, in my opinion, I think it's just obnoxious for me to think that I'm that powerful, that or I am that creative to be able to live such an amazing life with all the mistakes that I've made. So
finally, who is Jabez?
Jabez is a character in the Bible. I think he was only mentioned once in the Bible.
Oh, okay.
In Chronicles 4, they were given I don't know what's called, like a census. They were mentioning who all these people were relatives of, and when they mentioned all his siblings, but when it got to Jabez, they shared that he shared this prayer. I think his name means short or bastard or something like that. But that, he's actually a character. That character is a person in the Bible, and he was highlighted just once in that chapter, and that's a prayer that he prayed.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a terrible question in the next few minutes. Like, if you had to pick one of these books to recommend to somebody, firstly, would you have a definite answer? And more realistically, if you had to have like a spreadsheet or a flowchart to work out what sort of questions would you be asking somebody to say to work out what book to give them? What would be your flowchart?
So to me, the first question is, why is it you're looking for a resource? Why is it you're looking for a book? What is it you're looking to accomplish? That would be the first question. The second is, are you actually going to read the book? The third is, are you going to read it more than once?
Yeah.
The fourth is, are you going to implement what the book says the way it says?
Yeah. Most people's answers to those will be no.
But my question number 3 is no, and I am guilty of that at times. But these books that I've shared with you, I've read multiple times.
Yeah,
and I've implemented from the books, and it's made a huge difference in my life and how I show up overall.
Okay, and so I'll ask you a simple question. Which of these books would you say has made the biggest difference in your life? That's probably not a simple question.
The one I think, wow, that's a hard question. Wow. All these books have impacted me in different areas. Some have an overlap, but I think the book that have the most overlap is The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the principles from book number one, planning, your best year ever, and all the others are there. That's where the biggest overlap is. But all these books have impacted me in my life in a different way. But as I said, that T. Harv Eker's book would be the one I think would be the one I would invite everyone to read and follow that structure that I said, hey, read it more than once, and be willing to implement or try out what it says at least once. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But you just cannot try it out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much for being on the show today.